Hey there, focused learners, welcome back. Listen, if you're working in the NGO space right now and you are absolutely completely fed up with those passive click-through training modules, you know the ones where you just guess C over and over until you pass, then today's explainer is exactly what you need. We are digging into the source material behind the Change Architect Academy, or TCAA. And honestly, this is essentially the ultimate blueprint for applied auditable learning. It's completely redesigning how humanitarian professionals build defensible evidence and ultimately safe operations. Okay, let's dive into this blueprint for today's explainer. We're going to cover Section 1, the 7-part pathway, Section 2, AI and digital practice, Section 3, program quality and evidence, Section 4, organizational integrity and readiness, and then wrap up with Section 5, the qualification boundary. So starting with Section 1, the 7-part pathway, from theory to auditable work. And that standard is defined by this one single, absolutely vital number, 7. You're going to see this motif everywhere in the source material. Every single professional pathway inside TCA is built on exactly 7 stages. And this isn't just some arbitrary number they pulled out of thin air. It's a very deliberate structural choice designed to turn abstract, high-level concepts into actionable, step-by-step realities. It really brilliantly illustrates the rhythm of this progression. A learner never, ever just starts by blindly clicking buttons. They actually start by framing a real operational decision. They replace passive video watching with active work. So by the time they hit stage 7, they aren't just taking some useless multiple choice test. They're actually finalizing a fully auditable package that protects their NGO. Now, what's really interesting about this is the concrete proof of that philosophy. Look at what learners are actually producing here. In the digital security pathway, they build a real incident response log. For grant compliance, it's an award startup control plan. In the AI workflow clinic, they're developing a prompt operating procedure. I mean, this is practical governance you can literally use on day one. Learners are walking away with exact templates and work products that they can implement immediately to ensure their organization is ready for anything.
Moving right along to Section 2, AI and digital practice, safe tech integration.
That heavy emphasis on practical governance brings us directly to the first specific curriculum pillar, which focuses on how teams can safely integrate powerful new tech without, accidentally exposing a bunch of sensitive data. In their course on AI for grants and proposals, the source material is crystal clear. The goal isn't to replace human beings. Absolutely not. Instead, teams are learning how to use AI to organize donor calls, compare criteria, or even challenge their own work. But the human beings always retain strict ownership of the evidence, the budget, the compliance, and the final commitments. And this digital portfolio covers massive ground. It builds entirely from the ground up. It starts with basic AI literacy, teaching professional judgment rather than just button clicking. From there, it scales up to responsible AI, where teams are mapping actual use cases. Then it branches into specialized workflows for MEAL, which, if you aren't familiar, stands for Monitoring, Evaluation, Accountability, and Learning. They also have workflow clinics for running reversible pilots, and of course, those absolutely critical foundations in data protection and digital security. But across all of those different courses, this quote right here is probably the sharpest, most memorable takeaway about the Academy's whole philosophy. AI can support a proposal team, but it cannot become the evidence. That basically summarizes their entire approach to digital practice. It's all about maintaining absolute accountability and human oversight. You literally cannot invent evidence, and you definitely cannot outsource your professional judgment to a machine. All right, Section 3, Program Quality and Evidence, Honest Data Under Pressure. Because honestly, the technology is only half the battle, right? We also have to look closely at the data itself, maintaining strict honesty even under the immense pressure of field operations. In the AI for MEAL course, the Academy trains professionals to carefully move from authorized, raw field evidence to bounded findings, and ultimately to truthful donor reporting. It's really about knowing exactly where your data came from, explicitly acknowledging any missing voices, and making absolutely sure your findings trace all the way back to reality. Let's see how this builds in a high-pressure scenario, like a rapid needs assessment. The TCAA workflow proves that speed does not mean you have to sacrifice honesty. Step 1, you start with the operational decision that actually needs to be made, not the questionnaire. Step 2, you review existing data so you aren't wasting time duplicating efforts. Step 3, you explicitly name your sampling limits, what you don't know. Step 4, you run daily quality checks on that field data. And finally, Step 5, you turn those findings into clear actions. It is a highly disciplined, no-nonsense routine. Section 4, organizational integrity and readiness, building trust. Now, backing up those field operations are the heavy-hitting compliance structures that actually keep an NGO running safely. A prime example is their approach to safeguarding and PSEA. That's protection from sexual exploitation and abuse. This course doesn't just hand you some generic, dusty code of conduct. As the source material highlights, it turns that code into practical, survivor-centered first responses. It's focused on designing safe reporting routes that are accessible and confidential. The goal is making reporting safer, not necessarily louder. And we see that exact same practical realism in their financial training. Actually, let's be real. This isn't meant for some massive corporate accounting department. It's built for small, local teams. It focuses on compensating controls, like separating authorization from recording and recognizing key fraud risk signals. That way, a small NGO can actually survive a rigorous donor review or audit without falling apart. This integrity portfolio is absolutely vital, especially for local organizations. Whether you're looking at safeguarding, financial controls, donor readiness and grant compliance, or just setting up a defensible public profile for partner verification, these pathways help teams build deep trust. They essentially teach organizations how to maintain verifiable evidence state, so you are never, ever caught off guard during donor due diligence. Which brings us to Section 5, the qualification boundary, the TCA standard. This is our final and honestly perhaps the most critical section of this explainer. The Change Architect Academy draws a very, very hard line between a learning experience and an officially verified credential. So the crucial point here is understanding the difference between public presentation and institutional review. Publicly, anyone can access the learner promise, the self-checks, the lesson previews, and download the templates. It's highly accessible learning. But to get a formal, verified credential, you have to pass a strict institutional review that requires a verified identity, formal assessment moderation, and controlled credential issuance. Just sending in a screenshot of a public quiz, yeah, that simply doesn't count here. The source material repeatedly issues this grounding reality check, really just to manage expectations. A clinic can improve a workflow, but it cannot certify an organization overnight. TCAA is completely adamant that their courses do not replace a formal audit, legal compliance certification, or donor approval. They are professional development tools first and foremost, and they maintain very strict disclaimers to protect that integrity. So, to actually issue a recognized qualification, they demand end-to-end controls that go way, way beyond a standard public web page. We're talking verifiable learning outcomes, valid and moderated assessments, proven trainer competence, strict learner identity checks, and a highly secure system for issuing and, if necessary, revoking certificates. It is an institutional standard that is built to actually mean something in the real world. Which leaves us with this final, vital thought to ponder as we wrap up. If your organization's operations were audited tomorrow, literally tomorrow, could your team produce the actual auditable work products we've discussed today? You know, the risk logs, the control plans, the prompt operating procedures, or would they just point to a PDF certificate of attendance from some click-through video? TCA's philosophy proves that applied evidence is the only thing that truly protects your operations. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, focused learners, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.